Hey guys, back here again with a new review of the late Lil Peep's what I'm presuming to be his final album, Come Over When You're Sober, Part 2. After overdosing just over a year ago, Lil Peep began to blow up, like so many too soon artists do. Amidst lots of controversy over his death, it was kind of assumed and eventually confirmed that there would be the sequel to his first album, Come Over When You're Sober, Part 1. And after his death, a few runoff singles were released, as well as like a Marshmello tribute called Spotlight. The track 4 Gold Chains featuring Clams Casino was also released a few months after that. And not too long before the singles of the album began to roll out, one of the bonus tracks, Falling Down, featuring XXXTentacion, who also had recently passed at the date of release, was also released, which was a remake, or kind of a remix of Sunlight on Your Skin featuring I Love McConan. And I Love McConan, I guess, gave this to X to let him do his piece, and then Sunlight on Your Skin was then also released a few weeks later. The singles that followed just shortly before the release of the album were Cry Alone, Runaway, and Life Is Beautiful. Opening the album was this Rising Gloom in the track Broken Smile. A very interesting bell and piano mix kind of weave its way up and then kind of just fall out and then go into a very bland, boring, heavy bass and regular trap beat. A 2000s rock guitar sound is found on the song as well, and as the more you listen to the album, you'll find it's a pretty big staple of the entire thing. And at first it is pretty interesting and enthralling, like in the past Peep has used guitar a lot in his music, but this doesn't really sound as interesting with it, typically just kind of sounding like 2 or 3 notes just being repeated over and over on a very basic tempo line. And I'll just list off the songs that have this. I mean, it's only 11 songs, and note, there are a lot of those 11 songs that sound like this. Broken Smile, Sex With My Ex, Cry Alone, Leanin', 16 Lines, I Don't Give a Fuck, White Girl, and Fingers. And the rest of the noise on these songs too could really just be interchangeable with each other, all just being kind of irreplaceable trap beats. And with all that, it really only leaves Peep's vocals to save the songs. Luckily, it is somewhat saved by Peep's vocals, as he runs that typical filter through his voice that he's done for so long, and that kind of makes a lot of the choruses and verses very interesting, and it catches some of what's lost. And there are a few tracks that do have a different sound that don't rely on that guitar, and like for ones that I like, for example, Life Is Beautiful and Hate Me. And out of all those guitar tracks, I didn't really dislike Sex With My Ex either. Still playing hand in hand with that guitar, it just has a bit more oomph to it, kind of comparable to like Save That Shit from his first album. Hate Me, honestly, the instrumental on it is not that interesting. There's not a lot to it. It's just another kind of bland trap beat with some ambient noise in the background, but I just found it to be extremely catchy. Life Is Beautiful does a complete 180 from the rest of the album, with the most unique and creatively crafted instrumental, a sad, helpless narrative, and improved vocals. The song really is just beautiful. The topics on the album weren't really different from what he'd done in the past, but it just feels wrong now, kind of listen to what he's saying on some of it, with obviously he has been a big drug user in the past and was very vocal about it through his music. Although I just don't understand the decision from his team to use those songs where he boasts, and just not really boasts, but talks about doing hard drugs in many circumstances on the album, even saying he'll do them till he dies. And of course they might have just done this because they might have not had enough material to use as tracks, to make tracks that weren't about just drug use. But I almost think it wouldn't have just been better to not release an album then? Maybe have like Life Is Beautiful and a few other singles come out just to be like a goodbye EP then? That almost seems like the smarter decision than to release an album that does have a lot of promotion of drug use that did kill Lil Peep. A lackluster set of instrumentals kill a lot of the potential that was on this thing. A few tracks do peek out over the horizon and do stand out, but they're too far in between to really have a detrimental impact on the album as a whole. So in the end, I'm going to give this album a 3. So let me know what you guys thought of the album, what I should review next. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time, and rest in peace, Lil Peep.